So guys, I have this video here called Why I Never Played ARPGs Until Path of Exile, Part 1 by Dark Wizard CJ, and I want to watch this video first of all because it looks cool. It is like you don't like ARPGs, but Path of Exile is making you change your mind. Why? But also because DM Darth Micro reacted to this video recently. I have not watched it, but that is like a stamp of approval, right? So let's see what is happening here, dude.
Hello.
Hello.
For a majority of my gaming career, I've had a controller in my hand since I was 4. I actively and intentionally avoided isometric games.
Well, I don't know. The majority of things that I have played in my life are isometric. StarCraft, Age of Empires, Warcraft 3, my most played game ever, Dota 1 and Dota 2. Those are isometric games. And I have played Diablo and all the ARPGs that are isometric. I love isometric games. I play even Civilization, which is isometric too. I don't know that, like, I am the other way around. I hate first person perspective, by the way.
It took me a really long time to put this into words adequate enough to articulate my internal dialogue without sounding like a superficial fucking snob. But let me explain. The earliest memories I have.
Okay, PlayStation 2. Is this a zoomer, man? How is the earliest memories you have about video games PlayStation 2? When the PlayStation 2 came out, I had like 10 years playing games, dude. Is this a zoomer, man?
Station.
I am not saying it derogatory. I am saying it like just being funny. Don't get it twisted, man.
Gaming is as core to my identity as one's ethnicity or religion might be core to theirs. There is no me, there is no CJ without video games, so consequently my history with them is extensive. I've played everything from MMOs to RPGs to survival games to shooting games to detective games to fighting games to racing games to sports games to open world games to gacha games. I grew up at the same time the industry was in its renaissance.
There were a couple of cool games in there, by the way. When he did all the snapshots, there were cool games in there. I approve.
So I was
not the gacha games, though.
Exposed to everything when it was new. But alongside my storied relationship with games, there's a truth I had to admit to myself eventually when realizing the amount of games I haven't played.
Ascension in the count of 5. Count of 4. 3.
I am very particular
1. Ascension. Ascension.
About how a game
5,000 feet. 10,000 feet. 15,000 feet.
looks.
Is this BioShock Infinite? Am I looking at BioShock Infinite or am I getting it confused? By the way, I also, like, if a game looks good, I appreciate it. But it is not in my top 3 things, right? But it is in my top 3 things if it looks too bad. Like, it comes a point where the game has to at least be distinguishable, right? There comes a point when if it looks too disgusting, you can't even look at this shit. And I have to be honest, for a long time that happened to me with old school RuneScape. But I got this into it, and now I appreciate how old school RuneScape looks. But there comes a point, I don't put that much emphasis on it, but it comes a point where if it is too disgusting, my dude. Yo, Fernando, baby! Yes, it is Infinite. Okay. I said that. This vibe is like this has the BioShock vibe, but I only played BioShock 1. I even have a tattoo for BioShock 1. And I said this aesthetic is like to BioShock, to not be BioShock Infinite, right? Style is important. Style is important. That is true. Maybe I am thinking about it in terms of graphics, and I shouldn't be thinking about in terms of graphics, but in terms of aesthetic, style, and the theme and stuff like that. And that is way more important than graphic fidelity. And in that case, yes, I agree. That could be a top 3.
Say you only care about graphics. I mean, yeah, and no. I don't just care about graphics. I care about presentation.
Okay, that is basically what we just said, right? But at the same time, I don't think that isometric view contradicts that. There are a lot of isometric games that are beautiful. For example, have you guys played a game that is called Disco Elysium? Disco Elysium is isometric, and that game is insanely beautiful. So, I don't know. There are a lot of isometric games that are beautiful.
Games to me are not just recreational products to pass time with. They represent to me pinnacle examples of human innovation and give us a glimpse into the symbiosis of our species.
Our American way of life. Isn't it grand? Peace, freedom, and bacon and eggs.
It is one of the few new things humanity has ever invented. So my ability to enjoy them is not just on the basis of graphics.
I recognize this. This is Fallout.
Or gameplay or story or soundtracks, but the synergistic ecosystem in which all these elements are a cohesive force in. A game can be mechanically fluent and the play scheme can be innovative, but one of the most important innovations of any game, one of the most important elements of presentation period, is design. And for someone like me, especially in the arena of AAA, the strongest attractor for me is the way a game's mechanical progression is filtered through the lens of presentation. The way a game looks and the way a game feels is a part of its design. And with a landscape that exposed me to mechanically fluent, visually enrapturing, literal genre-defining entries that to this day are the face of gaming, I wouldn't say I was cultured or that I was a snob. I played games like Castle Crashers, Stick Arena, and Madness Interactive with the same fervor as Mass Effect, but rather, I would say I was predisposed to what I felt were pinnacle gaming experiences. AAA development in the 2000s.
Dude, but exactly, there are a lot of, well, it is because of the games that we like, right? Because I am agreeing with you, but at the same time, I am the opposite in the games that I like, because the majority of games that I have played and like and are my favorite are isometric games, and I fucking hate first-person games. I am okay and I like third person. I hate first person. So it is like, what I am trying to say is that I don't think that the camera perspective contradicts what you are presenting in here, because I am agreeing with you, but at the same time, I also think that the cool things and cinematic experiences and presentations and all of that is cool in isometric games.
And 2010s wasn't a menagerie of broken promises and half-baked and shitified franchises and games like today. We're talking about a time where in the same year or two, BioWare, Ubisoft, FromSoft, Rockstar, Bungie, Bethesda, Gearbox, Activision, Epic Games, Obsidian Studios, LucasArts, Neversoft, Naughty Dog, Valve, and Rocksteady were all dropping their best entries at the same time. I love the visceral feedback of good shooters that grips me, like Battlefield, Killzone, Call of Duty, or Halo. The weighted combat of a brawler like Arkham or God of War. The fully realized and fleshed out worlds of games like Elder Scrolls or Fallout. And a sea of highly interactive, highly innovative, highly curated landmark titles that defined the industry for decades. Could you imagine how it felt at the time being a child and seeing a game like Diablo 3?
Okay, I know I myself have said before that Diablo 3 is a worse Diablo game, but I don't think that Diablo 3 looks bad, man. Especially for the time when it came out. Also, I think Diablo 3 has a good presentation. You are a dude destroying demons, and you even go to heaven and fight angels there. I don't think it has a bad presentation at all. In fact, it is dark, it is cool. it also depends on what you compare it to, because I could come up with games that are not isometric games that look way sillier than this and suck even more than Diablo 3. So, of course, if you are going to compare it with something, again, like Bioshock, okay, it is hard to put it off because Bioshock belongs in a fucking museum. But still, I don't think that Diablo 3 has a bad presentation. And I think it is the worst Diablo game in my end. It is true that among the Diablo games, it is the more cartoony one. And that is why people wanted Diablo 4 to look darker. Because it is true that Diablo 3 looks cartoony in comparison with Diablo 2 and Diablo 4. Right? That is true.
Next to a game like Mass Effect 3.
Exactly. I told you, it depends on what you compare it to. But again, I can come up with something, maybe I have to look it up, but I can compare it to something that looks silly. Okay, you are comparing it to Mass Effect 3. Okay, but there are bullshit, man. There is dog shit out there that you can compare it to.
Borderlands 2, or Mirror's Edge, or Call of Duty Black Ops 2, or Dishonored, or fucking Skyrim. As a matter of fact, my first instinct was to question the legitimacy of this game because to me,
Also, okay, he's putting emphasis on presentation, and we are okay with that. But we have to. I am looking at my face, how the illumination on my face is distorting the image, and it's cool. But we have to also understand that I know he's emphasizing presentation and graphics and how the game looks. But we have to remember that games are primarily, they are games, right, about gameplay. And the isometric games or ARPGs are gameplay first games. And the camera view is there to serve the gameplay, not the other way around, right?
Isometric games were a consequence of hardware and software limitations. I associated the style with old analog entries from more primitive eras like Fallout 1 and 2. It was underwhelming.
I'll be honest, I tried to play Fallout 1 and 2 and I couldn't do it. But it was not because of the graphics. The controls are too clunky, man. The way you interact with the environment, it is like too annoying to play the game, and I said, fuck this.
To me, which in hindsight was pathetic, not to be too harsh to myself, because if I had just opened my mind up that much more, I would have realized everything in the games I already enjoy is in abundance in ARPGs. And I know this because one of the genres I have the most extensive history with in general is looter shooters. Borderlands 1 released.
You guys, if I have said several times already that I hate first person, you guys know that I don't like shooters. I am not the shooter guy.
In October 2009. I was 11 years old when this game dropped, and it rewired my neurological pathways with how deeply influential it was. And it connected me to an echelon of games I honestly beforehand wasn't even aware existed. I had history prior with games like Fallout, and I was well versed with games being mechanically demanding after growing up as a child playing Gears of War 2 online.
I do like Gears of War because it is not a first person one, right? You go third person and you hide behind the thing. I like Gears of War.
And ranked and actually placing in high lobbies. But to an 11-year-old CJ, the sophistication of a game like Borderlands eluded me entirely. This is because in all the games I played previously, never has there been as much opportunity for entirely new outcomes in my gameplay than there was in engaging with the gameplay loop of Borderlands. And Borderlands is one of the progenitors of all looter shooters we know today.
I have never in my life played any of the Borderlands titles. So the same as you are, I don't know why people like Borderlands as much, but it is because honestly I haven't played it. Maybe I played it and I like it, but I have never ever played it.
So I was yet again a live witness to the development of an entire staple genre of gaming. And then I realized as I was making this video that Hellgate London, the game 2 years before Borderlands, is literally the very first looter shooter ever made, and its origins are from lead Diablo 2 developers.
Yes, I remember this game. This game is rooted in ARPG.
Who defected from Blizzard North to make their own IP to invent that genre of game.
The original concept for Hellgate was pretty much our first idea the day we left Blizzard, as David Brevik threw out the idea of doing a first-person shooter meets action RPG, and we just took it from there.
And I had already realized it before, but when I exhumed that information, I concluded immediately after that the genre ARPGs itself has proliferated all of the core tenets of what I consider to be an addicting game throughout all addicting games I've ever played. Games like Destiny, The Division, Borderlands, Remnant, Fallout, Skyrim, Risk of Rain, Warframe.
Yep, things that Diablo 2 invented are in all over these games, by the way. Just so you know. Classic RPGs too. The Soulslikes are an ARPG, just that people don't normally refer to them as that, but they are an action RPG, the Souls-like, and they also have a lot of stuff from the Diablo-like genre.
Soulslikes, roguelikes, open world RPGs, and MMORPGs all carry the mechanical / gameplay elements most ARPGs do. Skill / perk trees, loot system, bosses, mapping through an endgame after leveling through a campaign,
There are two basic concepts that I think are awesome about it. You mentioned one, which is the loot. Loot equals addiction. And also people like building their character and feeling that your character is your own. That is also coming from the RPG, right? From the RPG genre. And then when you are customizing your character, you get all the loot on top of that. And then it is cooler. Also exploring vast amounts of enemies is cool, it's fun, you know.
Quest, tiered loot / loot rarity, unique items, stat rolls, class systems, etc. And all of these games are games I've dedicated an inordinate amount of playtime to throughout my entire life. This is not coincidental. This is me retroactively realizing after touching an actual ARPG that I've been walking in the shadow of its innovation through a market targeted to Zoomers. I'm a fool, and Path of Exile 2 humbled me. My journey to this game wasn't even a direct path. I was guided along it vicariously due to the interest a friend of mine already had. My friend Skadushi was already an avid PoE1 player, and as
Based, Skadushi, your friend Skadushi is based as fuck.
been the entire time I've known him. He's recommended me the game multiple times in the past couple of years, but there was just one serious issue. Path of Exile 1 is crusty as shit, and with an extensive background.
Dude, I want to push back on this, but I can't because you have me in video. Recordings of me saying that one of the reasons why I couldn't get into PoE1 initially was because of graphics. I told you initially, I don't care that much about graphics until it comes a point it is too fucking disgusting. And the first time I played PoE1, and we are talking many years ago, the game has gone through several iterations of improving the graphics, if you didn't know. Path of Exile 1 used to look like shit. If you think it looks like shit today, you don't know anything. It used to look like literal shit. And I couldn't get into it, man. It was disgusting. So I can't push back to this point. I understand. You didn't want to play PoE1 because it looks awful. Thank God for PoE2 then. The Power Fantasy, yes, exactly. Yo, Cyber Goldfish, puppy, how you doing, dude? Happened to me also, Lord. Game looked bad, to be honest. Yes, it looked bad. It looked really bad. But then you get into it and you get used to it. And now I love it. Now I love it too, man. It is like, okay, now we know we played PoE2. We come to accept the PoE1 graphics. Also, PoE1 graphics have evolved and they have been improved. And again, what I said, gameplay first. You get hooked to PoE1 because of the gameplay. The thing is that you have to experience that gameplay in the first place and you don't get it still in the beach. You are far away from the hooking point in the beach.
Of games that reward me for my reflexes. Its click to move controls were about as intuitive as me driving a fucking forklift. So I gave it an honest try of 22 minutes before I quickly said, no, I'm good, no thank you. And once again dismissed the genre entirely. And then, 2 years later, Skadushi comes to me with some news about a new ARPG he's been looking at that's going into open access beta. Path of Exile 2. He had mentioned before that this game was coming out, but I hadn't really seen much about it because not much about
This is the new king, by the way. I know that we, as Path of Exile players, still think that PoE1 is still the best ARPG or whatever. It is just because of the amount of content, man. PoE1 is a complete game with a lot of content and stuff to do. I just want you to know that PoE2 will get there and it will be the best ARPG ever. PoE2 is the new king, man, my man. Just you can write this shit and take it to the fucking bank.
it was even shown to be seen. But then Grinding Gear Games, the developer, released a game trailer. with a faction I've never seen before. The Vow.
Existence is a thing of beauty, precious, but impermanent. Life and death.
By the way, if you care about presentation, again, graphics, the aesthetics, thematic, and the campaign, how fucking cool is when you go back in fucking time to the peak of the Val civilization and you go there and these crazy motherfuckers are sacrificing themselves to put their souls into soul cores to power heavy machinery from the fucking future sci-fi shit. How cool is that? And you literally have fucking rivers of blood to power the big fucking robot that Oriani is moving around in his black laboratory. This shit is fucking awesome, man. Okay? Let's be honest in here, dude.
Are mortal enemies, and yet bound to one another. The continuation of life must be protected at all costs.
Look at that.
Some have said my methods are brutal. To this, I say, there can be no salvation without sacrifice.
These visuals are not just breathtaking. They're literally inspiring, as they inspired me to take a second look at the franchise. The dark fantasy elements alone reminded me of the works of masterful artists of the previous century, like the paintings of Gerald Brom or the more macabre works of Wayne Barlow. The scientifically advanced and ritualistically malevolent architecture of the Val reminded me of the work of H.R. Geiger with his almost surrealist visuals with the technology of his worlds. And then,
if you don't know who H.R. Geiger is, you are missing out. He was insane with art, and that dude designed the Xenomorph, the alien from the Alien franchise.
as I did research for this video, I came across another discovery that Gerald Brom worked on the art for Diablo 2, one of the direct inspirations for Path of Exile, and realized that what I was looking at is not derivative. It's innovative of the actual artists it takes inspiration from, which is the best sign you could hope for when it comes to a symbiosis of art forms like video games. This studio earned my interest, and their art made me look further. And then I saw gameplay.
Those skills suck, by the way. All those skills you're looking at, they suck dick. That sucks. That is from the ritual as well. The twisters doesn't suck. That one doesn't suck. I like that one. That is full of fun. Lightning speed, obviously.
This gameplay is not striking. This gameplay is unreal. It is visually and mechanically on a level I have simply not seen before in the genre, or really any RPG I've ever played. I was already sold on the game, but then Skadushi tells me that in PoE 2, for the first time in the ARPG genre, movement can be dictated with WASD.
I knew he was. I knew he was going to say that because he said earlier that point to click was. He didn't like point to click, and I said he's going to like the WASD.
Now support WASD movement. You can now walk around in any direction independent of aiming. In fact, if this is your preferred method of gameplay, you can use it on any class, regardless of what weapon type you're using. You can change between click to move or WASD at any time.
All right, you got me. I'm playing PoE 2.
Also, it feels smooth as fuck. Let's be honest, guys. The WASD in PoE 2 is smooth as fuck because Diablo 4 also has WASD. And I play it click to move because it is not as smooth. Last Epoch also has WASD, and I play it click to move because it is not as smooth. The WASD in PoE 2 is smooth as fuck.
2 is coming soon. Volume, ladies and gentlemen, volume. I need that. I'm trying to see if this channel can grow faster.
Okay,
Please
man.
Be patient.
But this was like a big fucking intro because I thought that I was going to see something about PoE 2 in here, but this was just you saying why you are giving in Path of Exile to a try, which I am pretty happy that you are doing it. I think the video is cool. I maybe got baited by myself, setting up the expectation that you were going to talk more about Path of Exile, but you said it here why I never played the ARPGs. And yes, that is a video explaining why you never played the ARPGs before. I look forward to part 2 because I have to know what are your actual thoughts when playing the game, my man. But hey, dude, if there is a game, I always say about if there is someone that doesn't like anime and you want them to watch an anime, what do? You show them Death Note. They are going to watch Death Note and they are going to like it, and they will realize that not all anime is pussy shit, that you can have cool anime like Death Note. That is how you convert someone. You show them Death Note because it is insanely cool. So Path of Exile 2 is that for ARPGs, apparently. You want someone to like ARPGs? You show them Path of Exile 2. There we go. Thank you so much for the video, my man. What do you guys think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I a clown? Am I a genius? Let me know everything in the comments below. I love reading comments even when they don't agree with me. Also, remember to like the video, to subscribe to the channel, all that cool stuff. Guys, thanks for being here. You guys are awesome. God bless you. And remember, don't be afraid ever, because this is just a ride.